So we're now recording, just to make you aware of that. And welcome again. Some of the things we're going to go over is a little more information about who we are to make sure you know what you're a part of, you and your kids. Again, my name is Drew McElligott, Regional Commissioner. That email address is where you can find me. We do have many other volunteers that I work with as part of our leadership. And some of those volunteers you'll know by the end of this presentation where you can find them for more specific questions such as uniforms and registration, for example. We are all volunteers. And one example of the, let's see, just the imperfection, if you will, of being an all volunteer run organization. One of our registrar volunteers has not been checking their email. And this has been going on all summer, and we just found this out, unfortunately. So I apologize on that. For folks that have been emailing our registrar at AYSO300.org, we have now fixed the issue that we are now monitoring that email address. But if you've sent email requests of any kind to that particular email address, it has not been read until recently. So for that, I apologize. We are looking for another co-registrar position, one of many volunteer positions associated with our board that we're looking to fill. So we'll discuss tonight a number of ways that you can help if you're interested in doing a little bit more as a parent volunteer. So this is the general agenda that we're going to go over tonight. I am going to most likely speed up through the presentation in certain areas, slow down in others, and then again, we'll fill in all the gaps as far as any questions that you may have at the end. So who we are, we're AYSO. What does that stand for? American Youth Soccer Organization, or as many parents come to find out, all your Saturdays occupied. This is because most of our activities are on Saturdays. If you are a playground soccer family, you may be having a session on Tuesdays or Fridays, but the bulk of our playground soccer kids are playing on Saturdays. What we call our core league, which is U5 teams through U19, all the way from preschool to high school level. All of their matches are being played on Saturdays. Their games against other opponents are on Saturdays. That's for our core league. The U5 and U6 division is preschoolers in U5, kindergartners in U6, and their Saturday is structured uniquely where their start time is a 30-minute practice with their team, and then followed by a 24-minute match against an opposing team. So their only practice in U5, U6 is on Saturdays. For U7 and older, that's U7 is first graders, those teams are actually practicing during the week, once a week, on a recurring weekly practice day, time, and field location as determined by your parent volunteer coach. That's for U7 and above. Again, U5, U6, only on Saturdays, beginning on our opening day this fall, which is Saturday, September 10th. And then finally, and we'll talk a little more in detail about this later on, but we will have each season player clinics. Unlike your core league teams, the player clinics are run Monday through Thursday, and they are run by our professional coaches, paid coaches. They're the only paid members of our organization, and they are very talented former soccer players themselves, and we call them extra coaches or extra trainers. They run our clinics, and clinics are offered U5 players all the way up through high school. So that's in addition to your team's practice, either during the week for U7 and above, or on Saturdays for U5 and U6. But if you have multiple kids, siblings in our organization, all your Saturdays will be occupied. AYSO is a national organization. Our region has been around, entering our 41st year. And generally speaking, we typically have 230 to 240 total teams, roughly 2,900 players last year. We're one of the largest AYSO regions in the country. Our mission as AYSO is to develop and deliver quality youth soccer programs, which promote a fun family environment built on our 6 philosophies, which are listed on the footer on the page. Again, we're all volunteer. We're paid with smiles, only in smiles. I'm a volunteer. Everyone other than those extra coaches are unpaid volunteers, taking time out of their lives. We all have busy lives, and our volunteers, board members, coaches, referees, they're no different. This is who we are. It's who AYSO is as a 58-year organization. And we, for this reason, we lean on each other, just as our kids lean on each other and support each other on their team. We're a team of volunteers making this happen for a league that's really unlike any other youth sports league in our area in terms of size, scale, and makeup. A part of AYSO, under the sort of the umbrella of AYSO 300, we have many programs to fit various needs of players and families. AYSO Core, again, that's our U5 through U19 teams and team play. VIP is our division or program for kids with special needs. AYSO Extra is team play beginning at 2nd grade, where kids can be on a second team in addition to their parent coach team. They'll be on an additional team coached by a professional extra coach. And then United is what would be our travel or our club teams that play outside of AYSO against other travel teams around the Chicagoland area. Where do we play? This is just a map. You can find this on our public website as well. And this just shows wherever you see the green boxes, those are pretty much all the fields that we play on, especially for our core league and our playground soccer sessions. We do not, if you live in Western Springs, you will not necessarily play in Western Springs, either your practice field or your game field on Saturdays. You may not. It depends on the division, because we have different size fields for different divisions, AKA age groups. So your game schedule will determine where your games are. Your coach will dictate ultimately where your weekly practices will be for U7 and above. For U5 and U6, our games are, I should say our practices and games on Saturdays are either at Ellert Park in Brookfield or Gordon Park in LaGrange. We may also have some teams playing at Forest Hill School in Western Springs. Some of these things are still getting finalized, but the U5 and U6 teams practice and play games primarily at Gordon Park in LaGrange and Ellert Park in Brookfield. And that's regardless of where your coach lives, regardless of where you live. This map that you're looking at is AYSO Region 300. This is our soccer community. This right here is Spring Rock Park, abbreviated as SRP. And the reason I'm showing you Spring Rock Park in Western Springs is because this tends to be a base of our operations. We have activities all over the place, as you saw on that map. But we have, if you look at the little gray box where it says shed, that is one of our primary storage facilities. And so we tend to have a lot of um, things there, especially for coaches to, for example, coaches pick up their uniforms, equipment, that sort of thing. Frequently, those things are happening at the shed. Whether you're a coach or not, we typically will have 2 or 3 shoe exchange and uniform donation events at the shed as well. The shoe exchange, it doesn't necessarily have to be where you give up a pair of shoes. It doesn't have to be an exchange. But in 2022, where so much is bought online and the sports store / shoe store is kind of becoming a thing of the past to some degree, the shoe exchange that we provide is pretty popular. These are lightly worn shoes or previously used shoes, soccer cleats, I should say, which are not required, but highly recommended for players to wear soccer cleats. And the shoe exchange is an event at the shed every time, pretty much, where you can come out and have your kid try on the shoes, see if we have a pair that fits. And that's very popular with some of our families. Obviously, if kids are just trying out soccer for the first time, it's an economical way to handle the shoe question. So that's Spring Rock Park. What you're looking here is a slightly dated, I think maybe a few months old, list of some of our board members. And you can find this at our public website, ayso300.org/board, BOARD. And this is part of who we are as well. We need volunteers. We need volunteers to stripe fields or paint fields. We need volunteers, obviously, to coach and referee and do a host of other things that we ask folks to help us out with, run our shoe exchange, etc. But we also have leadership needs. And so it's important in terms of the most critical of positions and roles. It's important to continuously diversify our board in many ways, including youth, getting new blood in, new parents with younger kids, guys like me, folks like me. We can't do it forever. We shouldn't be doing it forever. We need always new voices, new energy, and certainly, as you can see with all the openings on this page, which again, it's about a month old or 2 or 3 months old. We still have many of these vacancies, and this is just page 1, by the way. Boom, there's another one. And so with all these vacancies, clearly we have a lot of work to share as well. There's effort involved, time commitment involved, and we shouldn't be relying too much on too few people. So I appreciate any interest that you all may have, either now or down the road, in doing a little bit more to help what really is a great organization and a thriving organization that you're now a part of. Our board meets once a month, with the exception of December and January. Typically, it's the second Monday of each month at 7:30. We were doing Zoom, obviously, for a long period of time. We're now back to our routine of meeting at Irish Times in Brookfield, and trying to keep it casual, but also taking fun seriously as far as soccer fun. And these board meetings are where we mix the ingredients and make sure that the upcoming season is going to be great fun for our kids, safe fun for our kids. And the analogy I use is to just figure out one more time how to make this a success, Super Bowl win, whatever analogy you want to use. So next meeting will be Monday, August 8th at 7:30 p.m. at Irish Times. There's no judging, no commitment. Show up, learn a little bit about what we do, how things go, and we won't put you to work immediately. But I certainly appreciate any interest that you all may have in getting more involved at some point. An organization our size and scale, 1,800 give or take families, 2,800 give or take kids. We're always leaning on other professional skills and experience. AYSO National provides some of those resources, for example, legal review, but we can always use at the local level folks who are, can lend their talents to making us run even smoother and be an even better organization. So there again, we'd be completely up for your contributions in any way that you can give it to us. Again, just as our kids are on a team, we're a team, and the focus is always our kids, but it takes all of us, especially on game day, referees, parents on the sidelines, and coaching, to ensure that we're all in combination and in collaboration, delivering on the philosophies at the bottom of the page, and doing our part to keep things safe, fun, and fair for our kids. So I'd like to talk briefly about those 6 philosophies in detail. Everyone plays is actually a mandate. Every player is mandated to play 50% of every game at least. Obviously, a lot of this depends on how many kids show up on game day. But if I have 8 kids, there's on my U5 or U16, there's a reason why we have roster limits, and there's also a reason why we have quarter breaks for substitutions. That's from U5 through U8. There are quarter break substitutions, and that's to ensure that every player on that team, short of a temper tantrum or an injury, of course, is getting their quarter of play, ultimately their half of play at least. We want to strive so that kids get equal playing time. Why this is because kids don't enjoy the game. Kids don't improve their skills, learn the game, unless they're out there playing the game. The game itself is the best teacher. And that's at all levels, age levels, but especially the younger age levels. So that's everyone plays is a mandate for our coaches first and foremost, but it's important that all parents understand that that's what that means when we say everyone plays. Balanced teams, it's more fun when we have 2 competitive teams playing against each other on the same field. Blowouts are no fun. They're actually just as unproductive for the team that's winning as for the team that's losing. And once again, we only are going to enjoy the experience and improve our soccer IQ and our soccer skills if we're challenged and we're getting touches on the soccer ball. And that only happens in a balanced team situation versus a blowout where one team is dominating with the ball. Open registration, none of you tried out or had your players try out in order to play in AYSO. The registration's open. We have some families from a geographic perspective that live in Lamont that like to travel here just so that they can play with their cousins in LaGrange or Brookfield, I think. And so there are no barriers. VIP, which is our special needs program, U19, which is our high school level program. These are examples of pure desire to play, and regardless of what your experience is, what your skill level is, your physical, mental disabilities, there's a place for everyone to play. Positive coaching, it's reinforcement not only by our coaches, but you, the parent, as well from the sideline. We want to make this a good experience for our players. That way they'll love the game, they'll enjoy playing the game, And if we're just ragging on them and being all negative and criticizing them constantly, then they're not going to come out enjoying the experience or enjoying the game. Good sportsmanship starts again with the parents. We are models for the behavior that we want our kids to exhibit, and showing a respect for the opposition, for the opposing player, the opposing coach, the referee, the other fans, the other parents for the other team. That all starts with us, and our kids are watching and listening. So we are the gatekeepers for good sportsmanship. And many of you who have kids that are at the youngest of ages among our players, this is their first team sport for many of them. This is where they are learning good sportsmanship. These are the seeds that we're planting as coaches, as parents, to ensure that they understand what it is to play sport, compete in sport, and good sportsmanship is all a part of that. Player development is why we do, for example, the clinics that we do during the week. The clinics aren't for everyone. Not everyone has time to do more soccer than once a week in a Saturday game, but we want to offer as many opportunities for player development as we can. There's nothing more important in player development than simply getting touches on the soccer ball. And so all that we do, all that our extra coaches do in our clinics, and what we encourage our coaches to focus on in practices is always less about lines and laps and lectures, and more about getting touches, the kids getting touches on the soccer ball and learning the age-appropriate skills for their age. So those are the 6 philosophies. Now let's dive into the upcoming fall season. The most common questions I'm going to kind of go through briefly here. When will we find out about our team rosters and confirmation of our playground soccer sessions? So our team rosters, our teams are built by our division coordinators, volunteers, just like me, and they will start building teams just after August 1st. That's when they'll start. When will you actually find out the team that you're on, that your child is on? Mid-August. And so you will hear from us around mid-August. I don't have an exact date for you. Again, we're all volunteer, and so some volunteers move at a different pace in terms of completing the teams within their division. But mid-August, you will hear from us, and we'll continue communications along the way to make sure that you understand, what's to come. Practice schedules, again, this is only for U7 first graders and above, but coaches will be in mid-August selecting their recurring weekly practice day, time, and field location. And so they will be getting in touch with you just as soon as possible. Again, U5, U6 teams play only on Saturdays. And then the game schedule for U5, U6, there is a game schedule, but again, that time on the game schedule is the start of the practice, 30-minute practice. The time on the game schedule for U7 and older teams is the kickoff for the game. And then again, if you're playground soccer families, you have a preset recurring time and day for your playground session for the entirety of the season. In addition, while we're talking about dates, and I'm going to jump to our Facebook page to go over some upcoming dates, including some special events. Give me a second. Okay, so this is our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/AYSO300. And I'm just gonna zip through the upcoming dates. Our waitlist registration is August 1st. So if you know anyone that's not yet registered, neighbor, family, friend, ideally they register before August 1st to make sure that we save a spot on a roster or in a playground session. As some of you playground families know already, we do have playground soccer sessions full. Or a number of them are full, not all, but a number of them are full. We may be able to open up more spots. That's kind of something that we'll be making a determination on in the next week or two. We have a summer camp beginning on Monday, August 15th. There's that may be full, to be honest. If you go to ayso300.org/camps, you'll see more details on that camp. We'll have another AYSO 101 meeting in person in August 16th. The material for that will be pretty much identical to what you're looking at now. So no need to come to that one unless you really want to, if you just really want to. Our first playground soccer sessions begin Tuesday, September 6th. Then there'll be one on Friday. Then there'll be one on Saturday, or several on Saturday. Opening day for U5 and older teams in our core league is September 10th. We just announced today that we'll have a Chicago Fire tailgate match and on-field experience. The on-field opportunity will begin at 3:30, and the tailgate will start at 4, and the match will start at 7 o'clock. You do have to purchase tickets for the game. They're slightly discounted. We try to get as best a deal as we can, but part of the deal that we do offer is the tailgate is free, so no additional cost for the tailgate. Food, drink for adults and children. And then parking is not free. The ticket is not free, but it is discounted. And then because of our size and scale, we can negotiate time on the field prior to the game. So again, that's 3:30 to 4. Our kids will have the opportunity to play soccer on the SeatGeek Stadium field. It'll be a fun experience for all. The end of our fall season, our final game day is Saturday, October 29th. So part of why I wanted to go through the Facebook page is, I know not everyone's on Facebook, but I encourage you to like our Facebook page, go there to keep tabs on different dates and announcements. We try to keep it, I think we do a decent job staying active on Facebook, maybe less so on Twitter and Instagram, but Facebook is definitely a resource that I encourage you all to use. All right, now I'm going to, I'd like to show you a few things on our public website. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but, and we have a lot of websites, which is not ideal, but AYSO300.org is what we call our public website. And I just want to show you a few details here. For one thing, again, you have dates here. You have our calendar page, which is under helpful links here. We're actually in the process of revamping the site. The domain, the URL will be the same.
You may be the most annoying person that I've ever. Yeah, right. You aggravate everyone you come in contact with.
Just to make the point, there's someone that's
irritating
that
everyone.
needs to mute themselves, if you could, please.
Yeah.
Okay, I fixed that. Okay, so in any case, our calendar is also on the public website as well. And then just to show you, for example, if I go to ayso300.org special events, we have now detail on that Chicago Fire event, as well as a link for where to purchase tickets. Any questions about this fire event, just email events@ayso300.org. As we get teams built, we will have the game schedule populated here at the public website. Sorry, I got dogs barking here. And there's a lot of resources here to check out. And I just want to touch on that a little bit. Okay, one last, another website that I just want to go over real quick. This is what we call our team website. This is the website that you used to register your kids. Each family has a family profile, and you can verify registration there for each of your kids. You can register new kids, etc. I want to show you real quick, just these are our numbers currently, live and updated. We currently have 2018 players registered. Again, this will be, most of these are team players. These are numbers for each division here. And eventually, this 2018, I can just tell you from experience, is going to ratchet up to 24, 2,500, 2,600, maybe even 2,700. By the end of the spring season next year, because we'll reopen registration at that time, we will get to 2,800, 2,900 players. So again, I don't want to belabor this, but it's a lot of work for a lot of volunteers, for not enough volunteers, but a lot of volunteers. You'll also notice here head coach volunteers, as well as referee volunteer numbers. And just to make a finer point, that our coaches and refs are always, especially our referees, are always a challenge to get enough of. And so if you're on this Zoom and you're a parent of a U5 or older player, this is not so much relevant to playground, but U5 or older, we're going to need to recruit more head coaches and referees. So stay tuned on some outreach that we'll be doing. We don't want to clog your inbox, but if we don't have enough coaches in certain divisions, enough referees in certain divisions, then it's just going to make for an experience that we don't want. It's partly why we started last year and are going to be in full-fledged, have a youth referee program, where we have kids, middle school and older, who are refereeing some of the younger age games. But at the end of the day, we're an all volunteer organization, and that's not going to change. And we need parent coaches, parent referees to do their part so that we can put on the best possible soccer experience for our kids. All right, so back to my PowerPoint, if I can find it here. So if we have any other special events that we want to announce, we'll let you know. We'll update our Facebook page. You may get an email from me. What the photo that you're looking at right now is pre-COVID, probably in 2018, I want to say. And if you can single out, there's 2 adult women here. These are professional soccer players for the Chicago Red Stars. They came out and worked with not just this group that you're seeing here, but 3 or 4 different sessions at indoors at the Max. And anytime we can do something fun and something that promotes soccer, we want to do that. So just stay tuned in case we come up with more fun activities beyond just soccer games and practices. Our public website is where we want to point parents for checking out field status. We do sometimes, unfortunately, have to cancel practices and games and playground soccer sessions. It can be a sort of tentative thing where we ultimately the fields that we play on are not owned by AYSO. They're either owned by park districts in Western Springs, LaGrange Park, and Brookfield, or school districts fields as well. And so ultimately, some of those groups allow us to make the call on whether fields are playable or not, and whether to cancel activities that given day or not. but sometimes we have to follow the direction of a specific park district. So in any case, anytime there are field closures or cancellations on Saturdays, we will update our website by 7:30 a.m. Typically, games start no earlier than 8:15. So we update the website by 7:30 a.m., the homepage of our public website. And during the week, we update the public website by 3 p.m. In either case, we all know that weather is not a static thing. And so at any point in time, there's lightning or thunder at the field that your kids are playing on, that game should be suspended immediately. And the referee should make that call. But if the referee is not making that call after signs of lightning or thunder, the coach needs to say something. And if the coach isn't saying something, parents on the sideline need to do something about it. But because we do need to suspend immediately for safety purposes. In any case, that's the gist. You'll hear other guidance from me, from the league, as we get into the season on whether to play due to poor weather conditions or poor field conditions. And that's enough on that for now. Also on our public website, you'll see a game guidelines or division guidelines link. If you're curious about what the rules are for different divisions, then that's the place to go. That's where you can go to see what size soccer ball your kids will be playing with in the season. For playground soccer players, they are given a mini ball at the start of the season. For U5 and older kids, they're playing different size soccer balls for different divisions. Your coach will have soccer balls as part of their equipment. However, coaches and the league want your child to bring their own soccer ball to practice, or if you're U5, U6, on Saturdays, bring your own soccer ball to practice/games. This is for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is, practically speaking, they can play more at home if they have their own soccer ball. But it really just, it allows our coaches to have those other soccer balls just as spare, because some of the games and activities that they play during practice will involve many, many soccer balls beyond just the number of players that are there. So we encourage, for a number of reasons, your kids to just start enjoying soccer simply by getting a ball. It starts with a soccer ball and having their own soccer ball and some ownership with that soccer ball. As I talk about divisions, and you see at the bottom of this screen, U6, G6, B6, these are interchangeable. In other words, U6 boys division is the same as the B6 division. This U6, B6, that's our basically our kindergartner age group. And so I don't want anyone to get too tripped up on these different names and abbreviations, but suffice it to say, B6, G6, U6, 6U, that's all of those descriptives are the same division, kindergarten soccer in effect. All right. So again, this is a sample of one of our game guidelines pages. You see the table at the bottom says ball size 3. So U5 through U8, they're playing with the size 3 soccer ball. So if you're trying to figure out which size ball to purchase for your child, size 3 is the way to go for pre-K through 2nd grade. 3rd grade, 4th grade, size 4. U12, I'm sorry. Let's see. No. Let me think about this. U5 through U8, size 3. U9, U10, and U12, size 4, and U14 and above, size 5. Sorry. As I mentioned, for U5, U6, 30 minutes practice, 24-minute match. All of our players will get a uniform in playground soccer, you'll only receive a jersey and a soccer ball. For U5 and older kids, they will receive, as part of their uniform, one jersey, one pair of shorts, and one pair of socks. They'll receive this from their coach. Their coach will be picking uniforms up early August. And if you're a coach on this call, you'll hear from us in the next few weeks about where and when to pick up your uniform and equipment, your uniforms for your team and equipment. Again, soccer shoes or soccer cleats are not required for any of our divisions. Shin guards are required for all of our divisions. We do not provide shin guards. That's something that you as a parent need to purchase for your child. We do not give your child a soccer ball. They would have to purchase that themselves, or you would have to purchase that. And then, goalie gloves, we do not provide. So there again, if your child likes to play goalie, that's another thing to consider. Here again is the rundown on uniforms. We do have a uniform coordinator. Please don't reach out to him at this time because you don't have your uniform yet. But that's where, if you have questions, that's where you'd reach our uniform coordinator. We do have an excess supply of soccer shorts, and we'll give, like with the shoe exchange, we'll give opportunities periodically to parents. If the pair of shorts that their child was given are too big or too small, we can help you right size with the excess shorts that we have. The jerseys, a little different of a story. We pretty much ask teams and families and parents to figure out who needs what jersey on the team with the jerseys that we provide. We do not customize the jersey sizes, or for that matter, the short sizes. For shin guards, they are required, and they should be worn like the picture on the right, underneath the socks, entirely underneath the socks. Shin guards are not to be worn above the socks. As we talk about safety, one other rule that, especially for our younger kids, is less known sometimes is no jewelry. That includes earrings. A common question is, if my child has starter earrings, can they play on the field? And the answer is no. And if they have starter earrings, can we put tape or Band-Aids over them and then play? And the answer is no. And so we encourage families to hold off on, we don't expect soccer to run your entire life, but we do ask parents to hold off on piercings of ears just before the season, whether it's the fall season or the spring season. So keep that in mind if you're contemplating ear piercings for your child. So we can avoid any unpleasantry at the game. For the soccer cleats, the cleats have to be soccer cleats. There are other sports that have toe cleats. Those are not permitted, and that's a safety concern. My biggest safety pet peeve of all is unfortunately seeing all too often kids hanging on soccer goals. At U5, U6, we're going to be continuing to phase in new soccer goals that are impossible to hang on. The ones that kids hang on are the metal goals, and that's what we've historically used at every age group. And so they have anchors that are supposed to keep the goals down from tipping over, but sometimes those anchors get removed and lost and stolen. And so for that reason, we never want kids hanging or climbing on the metal goals. The goals that we'll be using more often at U5, U6 are collapsible goals, and you'll see more of those up close and personal, especially if you play at Ellert Park this fall. And again, severe weather is a serious safety concern as well. And then concussions, kids are actually not permitted to head the ball in match play all the way up until U14. So heading the ball is part of soccer, certainly, part of professional soccer. In recent years, or the last decade really, the concussion awareness and understanding of what leads to concussions in soccer has really become a more prevalent thing, and all leagues around the country in youth soccer wait to introduce heading until U13, and for us it's U14. Safety is everybody's responsibility. Obviously, I haven't mentioned COVID at all, and the short of it for COVID is that we do follow state guidelines, and thankfully we're in a much different place than we were 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And the bottom line is that if your child is sick, they should stay at home. And really that should always be the case, but especially these days. So we do have certain protocols, but the bottom line is that we ask families to understand the quarantine rules that are issued by CDC. And if things were to somehow get much worse, and we all hope they don't, then we'll just continue to be monitoring the Illinois Department of Public Health guidelines if those should ever become more restrictive. So when I talk about core, again, our core program is our U5 through U19 teams, parent coached, age 4 through 18. Our extra program is coached by our extra coaches. These are teams that our second team beginning at second grade. Extra program is optional, and it comes at a higher cost to participate in because you are getting professional training, and our extra coaches again also run the player clinics Monday through Thursday. Those player clinics I didn't mention are free to exclusively AYSO registered players. So you could go to 4 clinics a week in addition to somehow your parent coached team, if you can fit that in. And all that is paid for already by your core registration fee. Our VIP program plays on Saturday afternoons, typically at Northeast Park, I think typically around 3:30. Just to mention that Lyons Township High School soccer players on the boys and the girls teams there, they different seasons, they alternate and help out with our VIP program with players with special needs, and they're our player buddies. So it's a great program. It's been around, I think now 16, 17, 18 years, and it's just a fabulous program to offer. Again, playground soccer, those sessions are also run by our extra coaches, and they are super talented and do a great job. For playground soccer, no cleats are required, no shin guards are required, no soccer balls required. Although, as I said, we will give your player at the first session that they attend a jersey as well as a mini soccer ball. Dean Aerosmith, he's our director of coaching for heading up our extra coaches. We typically have 9 or 10 different trainers on staff, extra coaches on staff from several different countries, typically a handful from Europe and a handful from South America. One way that we are able to control costs and keep our United program fees, our extra fees, and our clinics free is most of our extra coaches are hosted in our own backyard. We have families like you who are housing our extra coaches. They need a bathroom, they need a bedroom, they need a place to grab some food, and that's about it. So if you're ever interested, we are always in need of someone to help out, and maybe it's host an extra coach for 2 weeks, maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's the entire season. But host family at ayso300.org would be where you would shoot us an email and express interest if you're interested in hosting a coach. This is our United team play, our club travel team that begins at basically at 5th grade and up. That's just one more program that we offer. As I mentioned, we have a summer camp later in August. We also offer every year a Thanksgiving camp, indoor programming. All of this is at an additional cost, but we don't necessarily think that every player, we definitely don't think that every player should be playing soccer year round. It's great too, and we want to encourage families and kids to play other sports. But if you're looking for for soccer during the quote unquote off season, we do have these opportunities that we're able to offer. Again, this is in part because of large part because of our extra coaches that run these different extra activities. So to recap on resources and places to go, we have our team website, our public website, our game guidelines you can find on the public website. Eventually, once we'll have teams created, and actually I'm going to show you real quick. Don't worry, we'll get to the Q&A very soon, but I just want to show you real quick, share screen, going back to our team website. And so, as you'll see, right now, we currently have our team website set to our past spring season. And I just want to show you, see where it says team assignments. Once our team rosters are visible for the fall 22 season, you will see links for your child's roster, as well as who your assigned coach is, under this team assignments section. So this is basically the homepage after you've logged in to our team website. The team website, AYSO300team.org. And from here, there'll also be a link to a game schedule. So that's just another way to get to the game schedule in addition to the public website. As you'll see, the team that I coached, one of the teams I coached last spring, Smurfs. Once you click view roster, you'll see all the teammates on the team, coach information, coach email address, etc. So that's just something to a preview of what you'll see eventually. This upcoming games section that'll be populated with the next few games for your team, etc. All right. So let me just go back to the slide real quick. Make sure there's nothing else here that I want to show you. All right, so again, I can be reached at rc@ayso300.org. General questions at hotline@ayso300.org. We're in transition for that email to be monitored by someone else as well. Again, these are all volunteers that are monitoring and responding on these emails. Registration questions at registration@ayso300.org. And I mentioned the uniforms. So just as you all have vacations, some of you, just as you all have busy lives, school starting up, etc. So do I, so do our volunteers. And I just want to reinforce that we're all doing the best that we can in terms of responding to emails quickly. And I'm not about trying to come up with excuses why it may take a few days, a week, 2 weeks to get back to you. That's certainly not the way it's supposed to be, but I'm just saying, we all have busy lives ourselves. So in any case, I'd like to open things up for any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself one at a time if you have any questions for me to answer that perhaps I didn't cover in the past almost hour. Any questions? Yes.
Hi, I have a question regarding, like, is there any way you can request as a parent that certain days are not going to be good for, let's say, for the practices? Because we had this situation in the past and it never happened, and we have to practice with the different teams. So that's why we want to make sure that if we will be able to request it, just to make sure that we can practice with the team and the day will be working for us.
Right. So a couple things. One, we don't predetermine the practice schedules. This conversation is for U7 and above, first graders and above. But we don't predetermine the practice schedules. Those are ultimately decided upon by the coaches, by the head coach, and hopefully in discussion with the assistant coaches. I can tell you that head coaches will be asked to basically book their practice schedule on August 25th. Practices will then begin on August 29th. To answer your question, number one, this is part of why we really want to promote the clinics because, and I've got more of an answer for you in addition to this, but the clinics are, in addition to opportunities for more soccer for kids that want more soccer during the week and professionally trained soccer, the clinics are also opportunities, basically safety nets for kids who missed a practice one given week, or maybe they can't make any of their practices the entire season. I'm not saying it's an ideal thing because I understand that families, some parents more than others, really care about their kids playing with or practicing with their team. I'm just here to tell you the clinics are going to be as productive and more productive, frankly, than any parent-coach practice you're going to find. So those are that's one way to solve that issue if you can't make your parent-coach teams practice. We can have that conversation once you find out when your practice schedule is. We have made, and I got to be careful, we have made moves occasionally where there's an easy move to make to allow that practice, to allow that player to make their practice. The problem is there are certain days of the week that are most popular for our head coaches. And the other problem is, there are so many days and hours in the week, obviously. So, we want your kids to get something out of the season. Certainly, we ideally want them to be able to practice with their team. But we also know that, frankly, kids are sometimes overcommitted to too many activities during the week. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but I'm just saying that's something that we certainly witness each season. So I don't, let's wait until you find out the team that you're on, when your practice is, and we certainly don't want you to have a bad experience where your kid can't make any of their practices. Ideally, there's something we can work with you to figure out. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Surely there's something I forgot to mention or say. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
This will be our first year playing soccer,
Great.
and I was just curious, do you guys make an effort to place kids on teams that are in school together or in the same neighborhood? If you could just kind of speak to how the teams are assigned.
Sure. So first off, revisit that map. You have to the east Brookfield, to the west Western Springs, and everything in between. That's who we are. That's our region. We do not build teams based on school, and we do not build teams based on municipality. We build teams first and foremost based on balance. And obviously for U5, there is, and the way we do that is we have player ratings from previous years. And our priority is to build balanced teams again, so it's a great experience for the kids. For U5, for example, where none of the kids played or have player ratings, obviously that's a bit more of a bit of a guessing game. So there are some limitations on balanced teams, but that is, you know, for our entire league, that is the priority when we're building teams. So long as you registered prior to our waitlist deadline, which is August 1st, you should have your child should have on his or her team at least a couple of teammates who are from the same school. We do our best, our division coordinators, they're the ones who are responsible for this. This is why we do ask for your school, the school that your player goes to. But we are not going to, you know, we're building teams not focused exclusively on school or city. So you will have most likely on your team, U5 and above, a mix of 3, 4, depending on the division, because rosters are larger in older divisions. You know, a mix of different schools that are not necessarily all Western Springs or all Brookfield or what have you. There'll be a mix. Now, I thank you for asking the questions, or this question. It reminds me to tell you that one of the perks that we offer our coaches and refs is if a parent would like to coach or referee with another parent or family and their kids be on the same team, we have a 3 volunteer policy that ensures, so long as you follow the steps that we need for you to tell us, you know, what your kind of pairing, what your request is, we will put this family and this family and a third family together on the same team, kids and volunteer coach and referees. So long as those 3 families have a head coach volunteer, a referee volunteer, an assistant coach volunteer from each of the 3 families. So that's our one way to ensure, and this is, I know this isn't really what you're asking exactly, but that is one way to ensure up to 3 players are playing together in the same team. That's the only way that we guarantee that to happen. We do get buddy requests. People will typically put it in the general comments section of the registration. And so long as it's one buddy request, meaning one player, we will often accommodate that if we can. Again, once we get beyond August 1st, now we're basically in late registration territory. And we can't make, in many cases, we're unable to accommodate any of those types of requests at that point and beyond. If, for example, someone's registering on August 20th, and we've already built most of our teams, we can't ensure that that player who registered on August 20th is going to end up on a team with any other players from their school. So we need that's so much why we try to press people to register now prior to August 1st, so that we can try to make sure that we live up to that commitment of having at least a couple teammates from the same school.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to give you one last spiel. Feel free to interrupt me if you have another question that you think of, or hang around after we sign off. But I just want to say, number one, thank you for taking the time tonight. I appreciate it. Number two, the questions don't have to end here. You can reach me at rc@ayso300.org, and I'll be happy to answer any question that I can for you. Number three, if you are new to AYSO, which I'm guessing most of you are, welcome. We're happy to have you. You are part, I'm a little biased, but you are part of a very special organization. We take fun very seriously. So, I hope that you, not only your kids, but also you as a parent, really enjoy this experience. Don't be a stranger. Hopefully, you guys take a look at the Chicago Fire event, because it's a great way to meet new families, and look forward to meeting you there or somewhere else along the way. So thanks so much for taking the time tonight, and I hope your child has a great fall season. I'll hang around for a handful of seconds if anyone has any other questions. Thank you.
I actually have a really quick question. So I
Sure.
signed my son up for the camp on August 15th. Will we get a communication stating, just like a follow-up with the details and things like that?
Yes, you'll get a confirmation email. I don't know exactly when. It'll most likely be from our director of coaching, Dean Aerosmith.
Okay.
And it'll probably get into kind of, things like shin guards and bring their own soccer ball and stuff like that. So yes, my guess is that email will come the week prior.
Okay. All
Okay,
right. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks,
not
bye.
gonna try to. Never mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
You. My son is 4, and I remember when I registered him, I think I selected a time preference for playground soccer.
Uh-huh.
But I'm thinking I might want him to do the U5 instead. Do I need to like edit his registration, or will he be put into playground because I picked that time preference?
So I'd have to look it up to be sure. So I'm not positive. When if he's already 4, he would automatically be placed in U5. But if, for example, you put in comments that you'd like him to play playground, then we would obviously read those comments and put him in playground. So I guess what I would suggest is if you give me his name, I'll be happy to look it up and see. And if, you tell me, are you for sure? Are you still debating which you think is the right thing, or?
Still debating a little bit, but he's done, I guess, maybe what's a similar version of playground soccer through just like the rec center in Western Springs.
Sure.
And so I was thinking we might be ready for kind of a little more structure.
Yeah.
He'll be 4.5 in September. So
Yeah, I mean, I think just from what I'm hearing, I would recommend U5. I think, if in the first week you decided it's, whatever's going on, it's too much pressure environment or whatever, we can revisit it and, make sure that, he's having a good experience. We've had, in some cases, players who they're not actively engaged on the field at U5 unless their own parent is like out there, which we don't want,
Yeah.
a parent on the field. So that's kind of an extreme example. And if that ever was the case, our preference would certainly be for that player to play in playground first, and then hopefully kind of get more comfortable. So I think based just on the level, based on what you're saying, I think it's worth trying U5, and then just touching base with us if there's some reason why that's not working out.
okay.
And just keep in mind that, majority of U5 players, it's not like they're all 100%, ready to play. There's sort of a learning curve for majority of those players, those 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
They all kind of have to some degree get comfortable, not only soccer, but just obviously playing with other kids, the traffic involved in the field, things like that. So.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, do you mind if I just shoot you an email with his name and we can just kind of verify?
Yeah, why don't you give me your last name right now, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, it's Campbell, Campbell.
Okay, well, feel free to email me, but I'll look it up, and for the moment, I'll put them in U5, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Any other questions from anyone?